Welcome everyone. My name is Francisco Javier Ramon. I'm the chairman of ETSI OSM and I work for Telefonica. And I'm here today to tell you about the latest development that the OSM community has made in its latest release. Why we consider that we have covered big milestones with this release, and what are the challenges that we consider that we have ahead. So I hope that you can stay tuned in the coming minutes and learn more about how OSM can be useful for you. So the first thing is that, well, we need to do a recap where we were only 2 years ago. 2 years ago, if for those who have attended this, this Congress in the past, in a different format, unfortunately, not with less interaction. We were trying to tell you what were our plans, right? What is the degree of maturity that we wanted to achieve? We wanted to make sure that the objective was clear, right? So we wanted a leap of faith because we wanted to do a space travel, as we call it, but we needed a lot of good engineering. So we had some considerations about what we thought that would be actual engineering in this context, and we wanted to run a comparison between science fiction, the list of requirements that we might consider that were great, with what was actually taking you to the moon, right? And that was our main point, that the enterprise could be a nice objective to have in mind for a movie, but the objective is doing the things for real. And we wanted to keep real with that objective only 2 years ago, okay? Because otherwise you are missing the objective. I mean, so if your objective is doing cool things, I mean, fine, or saying that you do cool things, but if you want to do them for real and demonstrate them, then the approach is totally different. And that was our thinking 2 years ago. We can be more convinced than we are right now, okay? So the thing is that with the release 8, we made it. Release 8 has been a tremendous milestone for OSM because it's where we have considered that we made it. We put the foot in the moon, and my mission today is telling you why we consider so and what comes next. So, what brings release 8? I mean, it's completing the journey. I mean, the few things that we will consider that were part of that milestones are coming here. Now we have completed a collection of packages that are for demonstration, that show all the examples, all the features that we've made, a huge effort at community level to make sure that we were covering a lot of use cases, a lot of test cases if you want. So we are quite, frankly, we are quite sure about what we are delivering because we can demonstrate it. And actually we are demonstrating in regularly in our own Hackfest with the real example. So there's no way of doing a marketing exercise. If it works, it works. If it fails, and does it live. Okay. So the other thing that we did, we knew that we have some room for improvement in our user interface. So there's been a phenomenal effort to change the user interface. For those who are familiar with OSM in release 7, we'll notice that the things remain in the same place, but we'll see a lot more options and more responsive UI. I mean, we are quite proud of this change. And because we feel that it's way more intuitive and doing things as we wanted to see them in a modern UI. We have also improved the workflow for onboarding the VNES. That's been help us to create a much faster iterations, bring more contributions, and also very important, that help us to collect that knowledge that was distributed in silos in a more consistent approach. Of course, very important. I mean, for production deployments, that is not a secret that there are some I mean, some active. And one big requirement is always high availability. We knew that already, and we have a high availability in release 7, but with release 8, we have completed the pieces of the past, the picture that we did not, we felt that we could do better and we could complete them better. So that is what we've delivered in release 8. Also, we've improved much the life cycle and the feedback that OSM is providing to the end user is quite significant. And I'll invite you to the collection of the demonstrations in that regard that are uploaded in OSM website, because I mean it's totally different, the view and the sense of control of what you are getting. Part of that comes precisely because of the change in the way that we collect metrics. Now we can do it in real time if we want, we can leverage on Prometheus if we want, and we can use SNMP traps, for instance, SNMP information, and that is done now very naturally. You could do it in the past, but now it's fairly easy, right? There are new installation options. This is quite convenient, particularly for the different approaches that are taken for final deployments in different, I mean, in different deployments that are happening in production. So this needs some choices, and this has been the natural translation. And last but not least, we have completed our journey into supporting multiple type of VIN technologies, multiple SDN technologies. As you know, in OSM is mediating, so it's not exposing the differences at low level that are happening there. OSM is taking control of those, is in charge of those, and is giving you all the visibility that you need, but without exposing the differences in the low-level procedure, which in the end are modeled in the same way. So that is abstracted to the end user to facilitate the operation and the modeling, right? Again, an important reminder is that all these functionalities exposed at OSM's Northbound Interface. This is key. That the Northbound Interface, for those who have known OSM in the past, is aligned with ETSI NFV Sol 5 interface specification, with some augmentations, because it also includes network slicing, etc., that belongs to other standardization. But I mean, but this is part of our commitment. The point is that all this functionality that I'm describing is exposed to the different client applications, and they are just client applications. So we have the GUI that I've commented before, but also we have the client for further automation tasks. And of course, you can attach your OSS and BSS systems as you wish directly to that MBI if you want. But the consistency, and this key concept that we are quite proud in OSM, is that all that consistency is guaranteed by the MBI, because it provides some strong authentication, but also a very rich RBAC policy, and the way that we control the roles can be as fine-grained as per type of call. So we have a set of authorized actions that can be assigned later as a role for a user in the context of a project. So so we can have a very tight control on what operations can do a given user in a given project, right? That is very well streamlined, and all the support is in the MBI, so it doesn't matter how many clients are accessing there. You don't need to mind about that, because OSM does it for you. Of course, the state is consolidated, etc., etc. So that is key. We have a new catalog of VNF packages, as I mentioned, that are ready for quick and easy consumption from OSM. And this is showing what I was telling you. We are taking the rocks from the moon. So anyone who is wondering what can do with OSM doesn't need to believe us. They can test it if they want, and see how it works, and take it as examples, because they are freely available, and open source as well. So there is no restriction on that regard. we had many of them, but they were difficult for many users to find them. Now we have collected all of them in a GitLab repository owned by OSM. So all the packages are that are used for release testing, but not only that, all the Hackfest content, all the scenarios that we are running as use cases, etc., all of them are available there. And now with the new capabilities of OSM Client, they are fairly easy to download and consume. And actually, there is an additional feature. So not every package needs to be produced by the OSM community, of course. And actually, the main use case is packages that OSM community is not driving. So we understand that there is a demand of companies who want to publish in their own website their own packages with the control they may require, etc., but they want to distribute them themselves and not via a third party. So we are enabling that functionality in Release 8, so everyone can has the specification of how to publish, and actually is pretty well documented on how to create a repository. And OSM, the only thing that you need to do in your OSM installation is add it as if it were a additional remote repository, and that's it. And then you can retrieve the packages automatically from the locations if you are authorized to do so. Okay, so you can combine multiple sources, of course, like you would do in Linux, in Helm, for instance, that you could collect several repositories. So this is something that is super easy. And actually, if you want to give it a try, here is the URL where you can find some of the packages that OSM is collecting, and in our documentation you could see the details on how to create your own OSM repository for packages you want. Okay, this is one of the biggest examples that we have produced as community. We've leveraged on the case that we could redistribute packages of Magma and even the images, because it's an open source EPC. We leverage on it to illustrate all the capabilities that OSM provide in practice. So we could we are now capable and to create this end-to-end use case with our own packages that you can find available in OSM website, so you can see all the capabilities that the system provides. This is an end-to-end network slice, right? And it's working for real. I mean, it's working end-to-end, right? So it's doing all the things that OSM can provide, everything that you know from previous releases, but now illustrated with an end-to-end example, with a working example. So you have, of course, you have network slices. It's something that you knew. We have support for Kubernetes, for VM placement. All that is supported. These are all features. The auto-scaling functionality, the ability to drive some type of automated end-to-end testing that is ready. We have even some of the interfaces that are exposed to produce high-level, high-performance, IO-intensive workloads. So we are all in this use case. We are even showing how it can be controlled a physical switch in case it is needed. And in this case, we have even provided physical network functions that was required, a physical router to complete the picture, just for the sake of illustrating what we are doing. So all that combined, all those types of workloads are combined, and this is what we are demonstrating for real. This is something that we are doing live in our own Hackfest and in the training that comes with them. And you can test it on your own because it's documented in this repository that is in the slide. So I think that this is the best summary that we can provide, the best proof that we can give that we landed in the moon, as I meant, because it's available for everyone. And if you show up in our Hackfest, you will see how it happens. Actually, in the first day, what we do in our Hackfest is that we deploy everything, and then we'll tell you how we did it. And we'll teach you how this works piece by piece. So we are really proud, because it's been, as you can imagine, a lot of work, because it's like we were doing something productive, but it's something that we are giving out for free, so it's clear for everyone how to do it. with the all the detail that is required for an actual production ready slice. Okay. A note on the packages of OSM. I mean, the nodes of the packages for OSM, for the network functions, for the network services, for the slices, they are oriented to maximize the reusability. That means that they work for multiple scenarios. I mean, you don't need to know in the OSM package. You don't need to know about the cloud where you are deploying it. In multiple type of beings, in multiple type of SDNs, all the matrix of compatibility that we are showing, you don't need to care. I mean, if you have one viable technology, OSM will take care because the model is abstracted to the infrastructure. So here you don't need to ask about which type of beam you have to deploy the OSM packages. No, it's given, right? Also, these packages are providing the day one and the two operations that can be run from OSM, and actually you would see that these example packages for the EPC, for instance, provide some day two primitives related to adding new customers, etc., etc. So you can see how that operation would work. I mean, nothing precludes that you could do it the other way, but the thing is that this is a capability that OSM can provide for you if you want, and these packages can give it to you, and it's very easy to operate, right? And also is that you can customize the upon instantiation. So the packages do not have all the parameters are coded. They give you some freedom, some free parameters that you can set in a given environment. For instance, it's typical that you set in a given environment the range of IP addresses that are usable, and you decide depending on where. You can set this at instantiation time, so you don't need to manipulate the package. It's something that you will say after, right? When you decide to deploy it for real, based on the package, you can set, I don't know, a local NTP server. The address might be different, of course. So those kind of things are not hard-coded in the package because they should not, but can be easily passed as a parameter. So you don't need to dismantle the package and reassemble it again and to just insert one parameter. This is not needed. Okay. Okay, about the new GUI. I mean, the new GUI has a very nice look and feel. We are really proud of it. Something that is less obvious is that it has multi-language support. So it's fairly easy to, right now it's available in 4 languages, but nothing prevents us to include others. It's simply a matter of adding a new JSON with the translations to an additional language. So if you want to volunteer to add your language here, is really welcome and fairly easy, to be honest. You don't need to have much knowledge besides the obvious knowledge of the language, right? And the thing is that we can reskin it and scale it, so this is great. As makes the effort of customization much simpler. We are minimizing the manual input, so it can autofill in many places. For those who are familiar with OSM in the past, this will shorten the time required to deploy something using the GUI. Of course, it helps you. It uses everything related to the RBAC. It's totally compatible with the latest RBAC enhancements in OSM. And well, and we even have the ability to have an overview of the application that was available but not that trivial to get in the past. Okay. I'm leaving out a lot of information about OSM. I know. Those who know previous presentation will miss a lot of details about the type of clouds that OSM is supporting. There are a lot, the type of SDNs. I mean, we'll make a very long presentation, but it's a well-known material besides what I've described. So the best I can tell you is that we have improved our documentation, and we have a very comprehensive set of documents per topic. So any of the details that you want to know about the OSM documentation, the guidelines for VNF onboarding, the user guide, the developer guide, the tester guide, all that is available, and and well, and obviously in continuous improvement in case that we detect that something is not properly described or whatever, but we are really proud at this moment on the state of our documentation. And something that you know, I mean, OSM is a large and diverse community. That's something that you knew. It keeps growing, 140 members today, but we keep receiving new participants. The last one that has joined OSM is Fujitsu, that you see the lows here, and others that are keep adding and are in the queue. So we are really proud. We have, I would say, enough members to be proud and be significant, but we want to reach everyone who is interested and can make a contribution, valid contributions. Typically, the latest companies to join come with fresh ideas, new things to cover, etc., and we love that. Okay, so the more the merrier in this case. It is said, but it's clear that we see the benefit. And about the OSM ecosystem, you are probably familiar with it. It's the list of companies who are listing their products related to OSM, either and to facilitate that potential customer can reach them, and of course there is a check that the OSM related products are legitimate, of course, and it's an opt-in process. So this is the tip of the iceberg. Not everything that is happening, and you may know many examples that are not in this list. This is the tip of the iceberg, but it's sufficiently interesting to keep note and facilitate that. As you know, there are different categories. I mean, from products that are based on OSM itself. So there are 4 distributions, some vast variety of consulting and integration offers to deploy OSM in production today. Actually, this picture is getting a bit busy now, so we need to think of a different representation for showing the logos of all of them. Of course, there are different types of VNs. There are not unlimited. There is not an unlimited number, but there are. Okay. A large number of VNFs. We could add more, but of course, as you see, it's a busy picture as well. This is new since there are released. We are including our ecosystem program also OSS and BSS players that have proven successful interoperability in our own events or in a plug test or whatever, so we can give a positive feedback about them, and they want to be listed. Of course, there are good training offers, and well, there are a lot of research partners that are contributing as well. They can provide you many gory details on how OSM works and the internals, how they are using it for the research activity, and well, we are quite proud of that because we are obviously we are useful for them, and this is something that we wanted to cover as well. Besides obviously the commercial part that is reflected in this picture. Okay. So one obvious question is, but now that we have done it, what comes next? So what can you offer as OSM community in release 9, release 10, and so on? Do you have any plans? Of course, I mean, we have plans. We understand that we have covered a very significant milestone, but the technology keeps evolving. There are many other things that are going on in the cloud and the NFV spaces, and we need to keep an eye on it. So we are improving, continuously improving the system, right? This is a picture, by the way, taken by Collins when his colleagues were returning from the moon to the spaceship, to the Apollo 13 again. So he took this picture. So I kind of think that this reflects in the stage where we are right now. Okay. Because I mean, okay, we got to production readiness. It's something that we wanted. And it's functional. It's reliable. We can make it. I've shown everything that we are doing right now is totally proved. But the thing is that we want to keep doing better. I mean, you can always do better, but for real, that is the key. The key is not having good plans, but having plans that are achievable and that you feel that you can get done in a reasonable time frame. And it's precisely what we are aiming to. Of course, we want to keep all that we have achieved for production readiness, but also we want to see a improvement in the fields where we as OSM community, we feel that we know how to do better, right? We know how to make it more comfortable. And it's simply a matter of will and simply a matter of covering this milestone. This milestone is done. We know how to improve some fields where we think that we can set an level of manageability of the system that does not have any precedent, right? So we are improving the visibility of what the user is doing. That's clear. We want to help the operator to take some decisions, so we want to be able to provide hints. And of course, there are new technologies out there that we want to incorporate, and we don't want to be strictly evolutionary, but making sure that we are having an open mind and incorporating new technologies as they come, right? So the thing is that coming from an assisted, from production readiness, an assisted operation requires taking into account some milestones. It's not that you have a set of KPIs and in the traditional operations having a set of APIs, visibility, some rules that maybe can trigger some, I don't know, some alarms or whatever, that's fine. But it would be better if we could predict something, we could anticipate that something can be solved and provide an alarm. So it's predicting the future, but we can provide an alarm. So we can help the human user to take an informed decision. The other part that is interesting, but is not for everyone, and not everyone is willing to take, but it's something that definitely has some demand, is the ability to provide some degree of closed loop. Not enabled by default, because some people consider it dangerous for production, but something that is a possibility, is an option, right? And that is what we want to explore as well. So there is a diversion there that we want to explore consistently in both approaches. We have started that journey. We actually in release 8 we took some steps in this direction, because we are improving the way that we are taking obtaining information from the network and for the deployment. We are paving the way to do some predictions. We have already some modules that are capable of prescribing with the information that is managed by the system, and if allowed, act on the deployment, only if allowed, but as a possibility, right? And the thing is that Release 8 has started that journey, and we are quite happy with the results, because right now we have the functionality of the exporters of OSM is a superior way that OSM is providing to extract even real-time metrics, if we want, from the VNF, and make sure that we can do the necessary adaptations to distill those metrics and feed them into the system in a consistent manner. Of course, we can feed them, as always, to external sources. That is given. I'm not talking about that part right now. But the thing is that we can take massive metrics and we can scale it out almost infinitely, because we are in those exporters can land in an intermediate cloud if needed, in a Kubernetes where OSM has credentials, and OSM can deploy them consistently, right? So, and you can scale them out infinitely if you want. So, and this has worked pretty well, and actually is illustrated in the use case of Magma that I mentioned before. Is already there, and we are quite happy with the results. So the thing is that now that we have much better capability with the framework of exporters of OSM to have much better metrics and get them in real time if needed, we can incorporate in that cycle that I mentioned, we can take some predictions, some estimations, decide based on some policies what would be the best actions, and either recommend to the operator something to do, or even implement it if the system is authorized to do so. Not by default, but as an option if the operators has authorized that. Okay, so the thing is that in order to improve that, we know that we can do everything right inside OSM, but we know that we can offload some part of that intelligence if we want to existing frameworks of machine learning, and this is something that we are preparing for the next release probably, and will be as an experimental feature, maybe for 2021 for a fully fledged feature, right? And because we see that it is quite close to the way that OSM operates, so the gap is very minimal to incorporate the ability to interact with artificial intelligence frameworks in a more a tight way, if we want. Okay, so that is something that we are working on, but also we could improve the way that we optimize the system, and we can prescribe actions, right? There is already a model for that, but we think that now that we have much richer information, we can take into account more information, and I think that will be great. Okay, and the thing is that if possible, if allowed by the operator, it could be either acting directly and reacting to whichever that is happening there, even in a reactive or proactive way, or even just issuing a prescription or raise an alarm or something, so the operator can take the action manually if you want, but it's pretty much the same mechanism in the end. The heavy lifting comes in all the predictions analysis that I mentioned. Okay. Well, I know that it's too much information for just one session, so I'm very thankful for if you have remained here with me until the end of the presentation. But in case that you want to learn more about OSM and see all this that I'm describing in practice, on behalf of the OSM community, I would like to invite you to the upcoming OSM Hackfest that is due to November 13th and spans that week. And of course, it's a remote event. You know, these circumstances do not allow us to do other kind of events. It's not practical, but it's working pretty well, because I mean, we have run 2 virtual events and with no flaws, so it's gone quite well. And I think that in the end has favored that remote participants from different time zones can attend, and I think that's working great. So you are kindly invited to join us in case you want to learn more on the details, how to do it, how we do it, what are our plans, etc. Okay, that's all that I have. So that's all that I have. I hope that you have enjoyed the presentation and you have learned things about OSM that you consider that are interesting. You can find more information in the links that I'm providing, and of course, if you want to come to one of our Hackfest and learn more about what we are doing and our plans, you are more than welcome. Thank you very much for your attention. Take care.